The story of Roy J is definitely quite bizarre. It all started on 4chan, as many things do. April 4th, 2025, a X user posted the following. This is a demon writing itself retroactively into pop culture history. You think this is a shitpost, but y'all remember him from your childhoods pretty soon. Attached to the post was a strange photo of a man wearing what seemed to be white and red pajamas, standing directly in front of a yellowish orange background, with the file name Roy J. PJ's JPEG. 4chan basically lost their minds trying to unravel whether this was a shitpost or mystery. No one really knew, but here was the weird part. There didn't seem to be anything about him. In fact, all the searches led absolutely nowhere. Roy J didn't appear to be a real figure who existed in any capacity before the post. As 4chan does, interest started to die down, but then everything changed. It was as if some kind of reverse Mandela effect happened overnight. Articles started popping up. A wiki appeared out of nowhere, and videos supposedly dated all the way back to the late 2000s started to surface online. This left people confused. None of it made any sense. Was this some kind of demonic entity actually trying to insert itself retroactively into our collective histories? The thing about this Roy J figure is that there's a lot of contradicting information about who this person is or was. But from what we do know, Roy J, full name Roy Jorgenstein, was a British Norwegian stand-up comedian, born somewhere in Norway around 1948, and moving to South Wales around the time period when he would have been 4 years old. From the information that I can gather, he got into music around the age of 8. He even spent a year in Cork, Ireland, studying Irish and the violin, before then moving back to Wales with his parents and family. It also seems like his family moved around quite a bit when he was a kid. As Roy got older, he performed for people, eventually not finding much luck in music. He at some point switched over to comedy. According to the online sources, Roy J developed his signature brand of comedy after realizing most comedians basically did the same thing. If he wanted to stand out, he would have to do something somewhat different, which on some level explains his weird brand of comedy, but it still is unsettling nevertheless. The issue is that it's very hard to find any sort of real info on this guy outside of a few clips on YouTube. There's not much, but hey, that's not too surprising for what seems to be an obscure mid-80s comedian. But it gets even weirder. His wiki states that he was involved in tons of different things, but there's little to no information outside of that. Again, how is all this information on the wiki if he didn't seem to exist before this year? Sure, maybe the wiki was made up or edited recently, but that doesn't quite check out either.
His wiki states that he did everything from joining the Norwegian army to touring in South Africa for 3 months and even appearing on TV, of which there's some evidence for. There's a lot of other stuff that's on the wiki that's just basically hard to verify.
A lot of the theories outside of the basic demonic theory state that he may be an AI program or some sort of government psyop to prove that they can retroactively insert things into our collective history. Although, considering the fact that he seems to have been on TV, you could argue that this nails the coffin shut on the whole AI theory, but it doesn't really. There's still a lot of issues. For one, the most obvious one, his comedy is just unsettling. Not odd, but specifically weird. Like somebody typed into an AI prompt, generate a creepy 80s comedian, and this is what popped out.
Hey, weird, unrelaxed. They don't know the secret. I tell them, but they're weird.
AI's involvement in weird internet stuff isn't anything new. People have used AI to generate all sorts of things such as ARGs, creepypastas, or even fake celebrities. But AI is strange in the sense that it might not go rogue in the way that you would expect it to, i.e. Ultron or Terminator, but it does have a weird persistence. For example, take one of Facebook's early experiments where 2 AI models developed their own language and started communicating with each other in a language that humans simply couldn't understand before they had to be shut down. And that was back in 2017, during the infancy of what we would call AI. In fact, an era that you could very much call the pre-AI age. Amazon's AI was also accused of showing biases that it logically shouldn't be capable of. The tech is more capable and less predictable predictable than we think. Now, I'm not saying that Roy J is an AI model. I'm not as deep into the conspiracy as some people, but it's definitely interesting. If Roy J was an AI program, why couldn't he fabricate his own existence? If this is the case, the videos that date themselves all the way back to 2008 don't really prove anything. That's just metadata, just a series of lines of code. And what is AI but a bunch of code? YouTube and Google both fall under Alphabet, and Google has developed multiple AI models, both public and covert. So what if Roy J was created by somebody inside Google? At that point, it's not even a troll anymore. If we can prove that Roy J did not exist before 2025, then this becomes something much darker. Not a rogue AI or a joke, but something way more sinister. Let's say, not necessarily in the case of Roy J, but in the case of some other figure. Let's say Billy Bob Thompson or something like that. Let's say that some organization, government agency, or rogue AI wants to, for whatever reason, create this individual and retroactively insert them into our collective histories. Who's to say they couldn't? If they have the power to do so, then can anybody truly stop them? I'm afraid to say the answer is no. Truthfully and personally, in my own opinion, I don't actually believe that Roy J is a rogue AI or government experiment of any sort. I think there's just enough evidence to prove that he was real, but that's just the thing with Roy J. I feel as if Roy J is more of a thought experiment than anything. Again, to go back to that original 4chan post, if that original 4chan poster didn't post what he posted, would I really be sat here making this however long video on some obscure mid-80s comedian that nobody supposedly remembers? Probably not, honestly. I don't really know about this Roy J situation. It's creepier the more I think about it. Even if Roy J, again, isn't what we think he is, and is indeed just a failed mid-80s comedian that nobody remembers, a new fear has still been unlocked. What if our history isn't as solid as we think it is? What if anything can change at a moment's notice? I'm not gonna lie, these are the sort of thoughts that just kinda keep me up sometimes, just because of how disturbing the implications of them could possibly be. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go drink a Diet Coke.
They don't know the secret. I tell them, but they're weird. I'll tell you instead. The secret is... Shh.